So, with regards to this 16-year-old movie now, 16, it's not quite as long as the gap which the title contains. 13 going to 30, so that's yeah, 17 years, so in 3 years, in 3 years. Anyway, yeah, 3 years. So yeah, so anyway, the point is, I have no idea why some well, I mean, people enjoy whatever they like to enjoy, obviously. When it comes to rom-coms, even more so, but this is the problem. The problem with watching too many of them, as I'm assuming. Now, you see, as opposed to most other rom-coms, like in fact another one that the same director did later on, Bride Wars, that was much more stereotypical. No possible innovative concept at all. Unlike this, I mean, this did have an innovative concept at least. That is with regards to the sudden age change and such, which is similar to 17 again, which I've also commented on, and just my luck as well, ever so slightly. It's in the kind of fantastic social sort of movie comedy, where it's not just normal comedy and it's not very fantastic, and there is an element of sociability. So it's more like a social sort of comedy thing. I mean, most comedies are social, really, but more like social fantasy. I think of it. I mean, it's not purely fantasy. It's not like Lord of the Rings fantasy, I suppose, or you know, any sort of most you know. But yeah, I did prefer those though. I did prefer even with something. They all generally follow a certain formula. So it's not like this is any more or any less unique than the others. But it just felt much more formulaic somehow. It didn't feel like it really did much with the concept. I mean, it did a bit at the beginning, and she still, it doesn't know where she is and such. So, I thought it could possibly be a truly comedic movie, but it wasn't. Like, even Just My Luck was more comedic, even though, I mean, it wasn't, much better. But even that was, in my opinion, funnier and at least used the concept more thoroughly. That's the point, right? I like comedies, even rom-coms that use innovative concepts. Even though at this point, I'm assuming I mean this specific concept has been utilized many times in 17 again, in fact, as well. But obviously, they're all different sort of manifestations of the same concept. But um, this one just wasn't really used that much. I mean, even with uh, you know with 17 again, there's a much more consistent usage of it. They explore well, it's like obviously that's the other way around. So we go from um, actually they don't quite, but yeah. So it's still sort of going from young to old, but it was different because no one else did also age. From what I remember, I think. What am I saying? They did age, didn't they? Oh no, no, oh no, yeah, that's what happened. It was the other way around, then, yeah. I'm slightly forgetting it. No, it was, yeah, wasn't it? So everyone else actually aged, but he didn't, or such. He did for a bit. Anyway, yeah, but somehow it feels like they utilized the concept more, and obviously it had more, whereas that one had Star Wars references. This had references to magazines I never read. So I mean, it might be a subjective thing, and I simply didn't enjoy it as much because I couldn't relate to it whatsoever. But regardless of magazines or the whole fashion industry, it didn't really use the concept much, really. It seems to me. So this is the problem, the main problem I think, that other movies like 17 again, did tackle it more. Even if one might not think much of the actors somehow, but with regards to its execution, how it happened, just it seemed to work better somehow. Even if just I'm just saying that they both use the same concept, but they utilize differently. The execution here in this movie isn't as thoroughly explored. So I mean, it might as well be a normal rom-com with an adult in it. And, it's purely a prop device in this sense, sort of, like even something like Scrooge, right? It's somewhat similar, but it, it, one sees what if they're compared, you know, Scrooge explores this whole thing much more. It's more about, you're there in the present, and here's where you are in the past, present also, and future. And yeah, by the way, this was by the same actor as the another movie I also reviewed, the Ghost of Girlfriend Past, I assume. I believe it's called yeah, Ghost of Girl. It's the same actor, and apparently the younger actor as well played her there because apparently she liked it. So this was made 5 years prior, apparently, or at least released 5 years prior, and the other one released 5 years after. Anyway, in terms of what it did, oh yeah, in comparison as well to this, so ever so slightly similar, not similar in the sense that Um, but no, I felt that yeah, the Ghost of Girlfriend Past was more comedic generally, and it did seem to attach itself to the concept much more. Um, but from what I remember, though, what didn't seem to be what seemed to be annoying is the fact that it wasn't so believable in certain aspects, as I said in the other commentary. Yeah, so this is the problem, though. It just doesn't really utilize it as much. Although, of course, it appears that, regardless of my own subjective enjoyment, people did generally enjoy it. It wasn't a box office bomb or anything, it didn't make money. Of course, unfortunately, this is the same director of Bride Wars, and he died 6 years later, seven, from this movie. That's very unfortunate. Yeah, so otherwise, though, well, hopefully he enjoyed himself doing rom-coms. I mean, I guess if you do, even if you do like 10 rom-coms, that's less than if you've watched 100, I suppose. Because watching loads one after another, it does get repetitive. They do seem very similar, just like most genres, really. But rom-coms, especially, there's always some sort of wedding. You can guarantee there's a wedding more than you can guarantee that they play sufficiently with the concept. Like, even if there is a concept, like there wasn't this, they don't play with it. Most rom-coms do not have some sort of innovative concept, but this did, and yet it didn't play with it. I prefer Just My Luck, which also was a sort of rom-com, but it did explore the concept of luck a bit more. I mean, that's the least that could happen when you have a sort of innovative concept. Yeah, you just need to explore it, really. This doesn't really feel like it did too much at the beginning, maybe, but then it forgot, ended up on fashion magazines and whatever. It really should have focused on the concept more rather than the magazines. Really?